Now, I spend a lot of time on YouTube. I guess you could say TikTok as well, and Instagram, but mostly YouTube. Because YouTube has this way of making you think that you're learning. It's as if like you're you think you're being productive by watching it, and most of the time it's, I guess could say, infotainment, edutainment, however you want to say it. But in the end, the a lot of the information is pretty shallow, unless it's about, like, say, something like a product review, something that you can look up deliberately. And then there's a lot of like docu channels, like they're like kind of like documentary slash information. What's the deal with this? I've seen, what's that guy? He was like a Vice guy or whatever, and he like went off on his own, and he has like a whole team now, and then also the girl Chloe, Johnny, whatever, and they have this like really interesting delivery and so well made. But for me, like channels like that, they're just like they're very boring, and I feel like I'm waiting for the thing to be over and I just want to learn the thing. I don't care about the graphics or whatever when it comes to this stuff, even though I appreciate it and I really admire it, and I actually envy a lot of it, and then the work and everything. And I'm just, the whole time I'm kind of stressed out on these channels, because I just know how much work it takes. So I'm thinking about how much work it is while I'm watching it, and I get stressed about, man, it must have taken a long time, which is bizarre. But then I'm watching this thing, I'm trying to fast forward it, I triple the speed, playback, whatever it is, and I've kind of wasted times just in my attitude. Like my stress levels are up, I've learned something, so on. But I would have been much better off just going online, reading a couple articles, or I could have just not looked up anything on subjects whatsoever on YouTube or anything, and I just read about it. I just dive in a lot deeper with a real source of information. Maybe read a paper, read a little book, something. And as far as education goes, you're a lot better off really harping down and getting down those basics, just really nailing the basics about something, and instead of kind of finding your most enjoyable way to take in information. Which brings me to the point, and the whole thing is that not all education is useful. I think a lot of times that we waste time trying to learn something. We think it's going to be helpful. Oh, I learned about this that's going on in the world. I've learned about that. And we think it's really going to come back to us and help us. But really, in the end, it was just kind of something to entertain us that we were interested in. But it doesn't help us in the end. It's not very useful. Maybe even the topic is kind of depressing to even mention or talk about with anybody else. And let's say it was an important thing, let's say something with like Ukraine or whatever, right? It's like that's probably not going to affect you directly. Like, I mean, yes, it affects you, but like it's not going to directly affect your life that you even really need to know any of the details. And if anything was really important, you're going to find out about it or hear about it. And if you're open-minded as well, and say there was world issues, news, right? This education on what's happening in the world, that kind of thing is like you're gonna be biased, you're gonna get propaganda, and like we're fed a lot through entertainment channels, and you could even say like news channels are entertainment as well. So this education being useful no matter what, I'm starting to wonder if it's not. I'm wondering if that the education needs to be very specific and limited to specifically what you're doing at any given time. For example, I'm really learning Blender right now, some 3D modeling, stepping that up. And instead of me learning about Ukraine or, some knife that I want to buy or a backpack or anything, I just harp down on this one thing that I need to learn and don't bother learning anything else, just this. That's what I'm there to do on my computer. I'm just drifting, thinking, oh, well, I'm learning something, but really in the end, it's not very helpful. So that's kind of all I'm thinking. It's just like education is not always useful unless it's specifically what you're doing. And trying to limit that, which I never have before, might be really prudent for the progression of my life. Just like, just not thinking that, oh yeah, if I learned something, that was a good use of my time. It's not always a great use of your time. That's what I'm thinking. That I say, don't learn everything you can. I'm saying learn that one thing, focus on the basics, and nothing else. Forget everything else. Fuck it. All right, educate. Not all education is useful. Cheers. Let me know what you think about that one. It's a tough one that I came across. All right, cheers.